Hi, welcome back to our series on the Synod. And today we're going to talk about the questions that might have come up along this journey. And once again, I'm joined by Mary Liz Ivins and Deacon Pat Brannigan, who are the co-chairs for our diocesan phase of the Synod. So I'm sure, starting with the word Synod itself, what are some of the questions that have come up from the participants or from people that you have spoken to as you've been journeying with, the people in their parishes these past few months?
I think the initial questions are, what is a synod? And this was a synod on synodality, so people were doubly confused. I think most people have grown to understand that synod means journeying together, and that our Pope has called us to journey together through conversation. So they were some of the initial issues, and people were very concerned about the difference between a debate, a political referendum, a complaint session, a town hall, and a spiritual conversation. And I believe the training that we received from Dr. Robert Schwanner initially helped all of our facilitators come to an understanding that this was just an opportunity to listen. And the sessions have gone beautifully because of that, I believe.
Another question that we've heard frequently is, what's going to happen? We had these meetings, you're going to do your report. Will anything really happen? Is the church, is the Pope, are they going to do anything? And our response is that each diocese throughout the world will be submitting a report. And those reports come not from actually the diocese or the parishes. The reports will be sent in by the note taker in the small group discussions. And then we will put together, the committee, a report to the bishop, and the bishop will look at that and look at some of the information coming from the small groups and submit a report to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and they in turn will send something to Rome. So the one thing we want people to understand is that their comments, their voice will be heard, and that in addition to the formal reports, there'll be much discussions, and the Catholic media and the secular media will have access to what the people told us. There were concerns about their joys and their disappointments, so that people should be confident that their voices are being listened to.
And this information that has been gathered, will this be shared at any point in our diocese?
Absolutely. We're hoping to have an event in September, late August or early September, where we can call together all those that have participated as facilitators and all our pastors, and the bishops can celebrate and also share what the main thoughts of our diocese have been. And that'll be just the beginning, because this will be fodder, as Deacon Pat says, for future conversations. But we will absolutely be publishing what was the message that was received, and then moving forward with work on that message.
Some people have been very surprised. They said, this isn't the type of church I grew up in. In the church that we grew up in, there's been like a triangle with the Pope at the top, cardinals, bishops, priests, and then the people. And what Pope Francis has done is inverted that so that we're starting to listen to the people, and then gets filtered down through the parishes, through the bishops, to the Pope. And that's a different approach of listening, and that's only possible because of the Holy Spirit working with us.
And as a matter of fact, the hashtag for this is #ListeningChurch. Can you say with some degree of confidence that's what you've experienced through this process, that it has been a listening church for not only the faithful in the diocese, but Catholics worldwide?
I absolutely can say that it's been a listening process, and it's deeply touching to be part of the groups, because many of our facilitators are active in their parishes in many roles, and we've talked about the urge to constantly say, oh, well, let me explain to you, or to clarify, or to add something. And facilitators have worked so hard to be listeners, and when you do that, you learn so much from people, and people have been so open with a charitable heart, even when they're sharing difficult points in their journey. And so I can absolutely tell you that all efforts have been made to make this a listening process. And for those of us that have grown in that ability, it's been so edifying and so enlightening.
Many people have told us, we didn't expect it to be this way, and we're so happy that we came. Some people said, I almost didn't come. but I'm happy that I did. Come to a small group session.
We've seen several different creative ways that people have reached out to the people on the periphery, perhaps, to bring them into the fold. Once the synod concludes and the process ends, how do you foresee this listening church or this conversation continuing in our parishes?
I believe Pope Francis began this process to change the church. I don't know that his real deep purpose was necessarily to just have some meetings, listen to what's said, and then move on. I think we've been changed by the process, and so it's our sincere hope that these conversations will continue, that the way people talk to each other within the church will continue. I'll give one example. There was one group that I facilitated of people who work in the church very actively, and they had a beautiful sharing. And when they finished, they said, we never talk to each other. We talk about schedules and we talk about setups, but we don't talk to each other. So I think the Pope's real purpose is to change that, and so that groups of people will talk not just about setting up and what time they need to be there, but more importantly, their experience of church and faith, their struggles, the joys. I think people have been enriched by all of that, and it's my sincere hope, our hope, that that's going to continue, that Pope Francis has opened the door for the Spirit to change the nature of church.
People have been listening, and we've been, in our own diocese now, we have over 500 of these small group sessions where we've been listening to people. And so that it's sort of, after World War I, there was a great song, how do you keep the boys down on the farm after they've seen Paris? How are we going to keep our church not listening once they've gone through this synod process? And the goal really is that we become a synodal church, a listening church of journeying together. So I think that this is just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. And I think it's Pope Francis' legacy. He's not a young man. And I think he realizes that he has to do something if he's going to have a legacy. And his legacy, I think, is that people will be listening to each other with kindness and charity as we move forward.
So if someone wants to participate in this last push in this synod process, where can they find this information? How can they register so that they can attend any of these last sessions?
They should visit the dioceseoftrenton.org webpage, and if they scroll just slightly beyond the first page, they'll see a box that says Synod. Click on that box and you'll find everything you need to either sign up for one of the discussion groups or to take part in the survey. It's very user-friendly, so we're sincerely hoping that people will join us in this final days of the Synod.
And what would you say just to encourage someone who maybe is aware of the synod but is kind of hesitant, but there's still that little bit of time left for them to, have their voice heard by the listening church?
If you get invited to a party, whether a birthday, a wedding, you think hard to say no. The Holy Spirit is inviting everyone to come together and to listen to each other and to speak to each other. So accept the invitation.
And I'm thankful that all of you accepted the invitation to join us today as we talk about this final push in the diocesan phase of the Synod. Remember that all of this information can be found on our website, dioceseoftrenton.org, and I encourage you to check back our social media sites regularly for any more information or to ask any questions about this process. Thank you both, and may God bless the Church and the Diocese of Trenton.